All right, let's do it. We're ready. Go.
We're going live.
We're live right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first Right or Wrong show on a Friday. It's a special edition show today. We're happy to be here. We're really excited to talk about Week 1 of the NFL coming up, along with everything else going on in sports.
Yes, sir. And as you know, the first game of the NFL season happened last night. And Lions and Chiefs. The Lions came out on top 21-20. Now, Goose, really awesome to have football back, first off.
Honestly, incredible. Sitting down there with the boys, getting ready to watch the game.
Hearing that song on the TV, man.
This is nothing. You can't recreate the NFL. There's just no way.
Yeah, there's just a different type of feeling. It was good to have it back. What a great game last night. But I don't think
Great's a strong word for it.
It was a great game. Close game, 21-20. It was pretty entertaining. Great for Lions fans. Not so great for Chiefs fans, which I think a lot of people didn't expect. So, Goose, tell me, did the Lions win this game, or did the Chiefs lose it?
I mean, I got to come out here and say, first and foremost, the Chiefs lost this game. From the get-go, they had problems at wide receiver without Travis Kelce being there as their top passing target. They had problems at defensive line with Chris Jones holding out over his contract. He forfeited a game check of $1.2 million for not playing last night. And eventually those checks are going to add up, so he's going to have to get his contract signed and come back. But I think the Chiefs lost this game due to, a lot of things. It was really hard to watch. Very, very hard to watch with their drops. You can see it on the screen right there. Kadarius Toney came over from the Giants last year, and he played pretty well last year. But this year, this was a horrible game. He's going to need to bounce back mentally from this game. But yeah, I think the Lions, they held the Lions to 14 offensive points. The Lions didn't really do anything to make me say, wow, these guys played their butts off. Like, they scored 14 offensive points. They turned the ball over. They didn't capitalize in certain situations in which they could have. They went for it all the time on fourth down and still didn't even advance the ball that much. I just think the Chiefs made so many errors, penalties in huge situations. Jawaan Taylor was lined up behind the center's belt, which is apparently illegal. The entire game, he went early almost every snap. I just thought the Chiefs looked really, really bad up there. I was honestly embarrassing for the defending champs.
100% agree. However, I think the Lions did win this game more than the Chiefs lost it.
How can you say that when they dropped so many balls?
Because the Lions came out there. You're in this super hostile environment in Arrowhead, and they came out and they played really well.
Really?
The Lions.
They scored 14 points on offense.
I know they did, but they were,
and their defense is not like they shut down the Chiefs.
No, I know.
Their defense was playing a Chiefs team that had only a quarterback. That's what
they won the game because they did what they needed to do on the fourth quarter. They had a 9-play, 75-yard drive, ate up the clock, and went down there and
they finally got back to what they knew, and that's running ball up the middle.
Yeah, they punched the ball in. They went back there and they showed you this is who the Detroit Lions are, and they won the game. They took it out of the Chiefs' hands. The Chiefs had the game solely in their hands, and the Chiefs got punched in the mouth when the Lions went down there and scored that drive. And that's when the mistakes really started piling up. You had the mistake with Kadarius Toney early in the game for the pick six. Everyone has a bad game, but everyone fell apart at the end. Jawaan Taylor, Toney, Sky Moore.
Sky Moore had to drop on 4th and 25.
Yeah, that is when everyone started to fall apart when they got punched in the face. So that's why I think the Lions won the game, because they just got physical right in their face. Even as the Chiefs were kind of pulling away when it was 20-14.
They had self-field goals, though, so the Lions were always in striking range.
Yeah. And, the defense held out. Like you said, they held them to 2 field goals there at the end. That could have been 2 touchdowns.
True.
They won the game.
Yeah, they did a very good job. I can't say I'm that impressed with this win, but it's still a win in the scorecard. The Lions haven't won their season opener in 6 years before last night.
Yeah.
So props to them, and congrats on the win to the Lions.
You know who looked good last night? Sam Laporta. A lot of really good blocks last night.
If you remember, that's your rookie breakout prediction. And under the radar breakout prediction. Sam Laporta, tight end for the Lions. I couldn't handle it because Will Clark would not stop being head over heels over that guy. And I'll admit, he did look pretty good for a rookie tight end in week 1.
Shout out Will Clark. All right. Really great game. Glad we got it. Chiefs fumbled it away just as much as the Lions won it. I think we can both kind of come to that.
It was bad.
But, man, we can't wait for these football games coming up on Sunday. All right. Well, moving on more so into another sport. Men's USA basketball just happened today. They lost, and the FIBA World Cup semis. Goose? Anything you got to say about that?
I haven't talked about basketball in a while, and I can't say this is the way I want to start talking about it again. The World Cup gives every country the opportunity to showcase its best players. And far and away, the United States is the best players in the world at the sport of basketball. There's freaks like Luka and Giannis and Jokic, but far and away, the United States is the most talented roster.
I think the U.S. is the most talented because they're the deepest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna
For sure.
you're gonna have that one player on another foreign team that's good, and it's like the same thing with the dream team and Kukoc, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, oh, Kukoc is gonna take him far, and then the dream team goes against him and they smash him by like 30 points.
Yeah.
So the U.S. should be doing that, and it seems like we've reverted back to our ways of.
It's mediocrity. It's
Let's,
mediocrity.
let's send the D team over. Like I said, the meme team.
Here's what I gotta say. People on the air this morning were talking about how we don't feel our best players for the World Cup, and we don't. We're not even close. I mean, our starting lineup, our starting five wouldn't have any of the current players on the team on it if we had a real starting lineup, because that would be Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, LeBron, Kevin Durant, and like Anthony Davis, right? None of those guys played for the team, which sucks. But I'm gonna tell you why they should win the World Cup every year, even without their best players. Jalen Brunson, all the guys on that team, Josh Hart, all of them are really fantastic, well above average NBA players. And you know who they played today? They played Germany. Do you know who Germany's star player was today? It was Dennis Schroeder, who's on a veteran's minimum contract in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
How are a bunch of guys who are making $20 to $30 to $40 million per year in the NBA right now losing to a guy who is leading a team of non-NBA players and he's getting the veterans minimum? The talent disparity, even when the USA doesn't send its best players, is huge, and they should be able to get it done every time. Messing around and being down 10 points to Germany with 6 minutes left is unacceptable. They can't rely on a comeback every time.
Yeah, I agree. I think the U.S. just kind of got too cocky with it, honestly. I think if you looked at it around...
They lost to Lithuania last week
Yeah,
because they got too cocky.
Yeah.
I think it cost them.
I think they just got too cocky.
This one cost them.
And, I think everyone knows the U.S. has the best talent. The U.S. knows they have the best talent. And they go out there expecting not to put on a show, or expecting to put on a show rather than playing the game and wanting to win. And these countries are fighting for their, own pride.
They are. The Americans don't have enough pride, and I don't know how they have so little chemistry, because they're all great players. Great players. And they should be able to mesh well together and actually put out a product that wins games. They didn't even make it to the finals, the semifinals. They lost to Germany. Daniel Tice, who isn't in the NBA anymore, and Dennis Schroeder were their best players. They're running pick and rolls with Daniel Tice and Dennis Schroeder, and they're getting covered by Jaren Jackson Jr., the NBA's leading shot blocker, and Josh Hart, who was like Tom Thibodeau's favorite player on the New York Knicks. Walk-down defender, great rebound at the guard position. He can shoot, he can score. Anthony Edwards, that dude is gross.
Yeah, he's
dope. Anthony Edwards just, I mean, they lost 4-1 in the Nuggets, but Anthony Edwards did damn well best to win that series for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He averaged 34 in the series.
Yeah.
And then here he goes in the World Cup, and he's having threes fall short with even the shorter 3-point line, not playing great defense. It's really frustrating to see.
I don't know if it was fatigue or
I can't support America when we're losing the World Cup like this. Come on, guys, we gotta be better.
No.
We're hanging an American flag for y'all. I mean, come on.
What do you think the U.S. needs to do? Do you think that it needs to go back to that dream team, redeem team? Hey, let's send the redeemer team.
Dude.
Again.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely solve the problems, for sure, Tyler. That would solve the problems.
Do you think they need a longer camp? What do you think?
Because
like you said, I agree. I think that they should have no problem.
With the players they have, they should solve no problem. You're right. Yeah, exactly what I said. I don't know how long the other international teams practice together, but I can't imagine it's that long because Dennis Schroeder played an NBA season just like those other guys.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of that team probably practiced together for a long time, I would think.
Yeah.
Because that's their main basketball, right?
Yeah, not in the NBA.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The training camp is decently long. I mean, they've been training for the FIBA World Cup since, it's September now. They've been there since early August. That's a whole month.
Yeah.
They can make it longer, but, I mean...
A whole month they should have.
You know what I thought of this morning? If you sent the Golden State Warriors roster with Steve Kerr coaching it to the FIBA World Cup to play for the United States, they would win the World Cup. They would have beat Germany today, and they would have beat whoever they play in the final.
No doubt.
Because those guys have so much chemistry and so much cohesion. If you just send an above-average NBA team there, I think they're smashing one that doesn't have a ton of international players that will be removed. I think they're smashing in the FIBA World Cup.
You think they beat Germany?
I think they totally, easy. I mean, we're talking about chemistry being the huge limiting factor here, chemistry or effort. I think if they're playing together with their close teammates, the effort's there. And if they're playing with their close teammates who they play with for an entire 82-game season, the chemistry's there, and I think they win the World Cup.
I also feel like it doesn't have the stakes necessary. You know, like it's the FIBA.
No, it doesn't.
It's the
It doesn't.
FIBA World Cup. Like,
But it's still a World Cup.
Yeah, I
I mean, it's
know.
the freaking World Cup of the world.
the
Earth.
U.S. is supposed to like win these.
These guys don't have enough pride for their country.
Yeah, they don't. Like they have more pride for the NBA championship than they do.
They have more pride for making money. Jalen Brown.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another part that I think needs to come straight.
That's another guy. Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. They
Where
should
are
be
they?
on that roster.
Where are
too.
they?
They're just sitting on their $60 million money bags.
I hope
Awesome.
Jalen Brown's working his left-hand dribble.
That's what I'm saying. That dude needs work. That thing. Oh boy. Those highlight reels of him trying to dribble left-handed, just screw it up like 8 times in a row against the Heat. Oh man.
And
Imagine.
he single-handedly sold that game 7, and he got the bag. So
Imagine securing a contract for $0.3 billion and you can't dribble left-handed.
yeah. All right.
Disappointing.
Good stuff. Let's move on. All right. This is a segment that we wanted to get to last week, but we got
We're getting into last week's, or we're getting into Tuesday stuff.
Tuesday.
When the Wi-Fi went out on us, but I'm excited. This could get testy here, Tyler. I'm just
All
saying.
right. I'm sure it will be. All right. So the NFL regular season award
Yeah.
winners. We're going to break down our predictions about who we think. What do we want to start with?
I think we're going to go over MVP. Let's go over MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
All right. Let's start with the MVP.
Let's start with the MVP because why not? Who do you have winning the MVP this year in the NFL?
Well, on Tuesday, I had.
You're changed it since Tuesday?
On Tuesday, I had Patrick Mahomes.
You're letting yourself unpick your pick from Tuesday based off of last night's results. These were supposed to be preseason.
Oh, hey!
Who did you have before the season started?
I said I have Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, who is it now? Because of one game.
It's still Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it is.
Listen, the Chiefs, like you were saying today, I mean, we're looking at some of these takes today, post game 1. Is the Chiefs dynasty over? I mean, are you serious?
I can't believe they talked about that. I think it was Get Up. That's unbelievable.
I can't believe you're saying that. The Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. It's one game. You don't have Chris Jones. You don't have Travis Kelce. You got guys that can't catch a simple drag route. So, listen, this stuff's just going to happen. It's coming together. Kadarius Toney missed a lot of camp. I think listen, everyone has a bad game. I feel bad for the guy. I do. He plays
He's not going to get as many snaps, but you know who is?
not many other people.
Justin Ross.
Justin
Ross going to get snaps. He had his first NFL catch last time, which is really amazing for him.
Congrats, Justin Ross, if you're watching.
So you have Patrick Mahomes winning MVP?
Listen, I have Patrick Mahomes, and the reasons why is because the Chiefs are still going to be one of the best teams in the league, and you need to be the best player on one of the best teams to win the MVP. You can't have just an exceptional season. Your team has to be in a winning position, and the Chiefs will be. Patrick Mahomes' stats are going to be unreal, as they always are. It's unfortunate that his team sold on him last night, but once Travis Kelce comes back, the engine's going to get moving again, and he'll be the MVP for 2 years in a row.
I agree. Chris Collinsworth said it last night. He was really frustrating the Lions defense, especially in the first half when his receivers were doing at least a little bit to help him out. And I think he'll win the MVP because he's the best player in the league, without a doubt. Joe Burrow, who is second shortest odds winning MVP, is coming in a little. I mean, he had the injury not even a month ago still, so I don't trust him to be at his best for the entire 17-week season. And last night was a bad game for Mahomes and the Chiefs. He still threw 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he did.
He had an interception that was completely not his fault. Hit Tony in the hands. Hit him in the hands. I mean, led it perfectly. It was a great ball on an easy catch. I mean, that was a 10-yard pass.
Yeah.
And it went to the defense. That was a Dak Prescott interception. He had like 4 of those last year where it bounced off the receiver and went to the defense. And people are going to give Mahomes credit for making a good throw there. They don't give Dak credit for making good throws, but that's okay.
You know what
I think Mahomes is going to get it done.
One of the improvements that I actually think I saw Mahomes in last night was his pocket presence. I think he navigated the pocket really, really well, and I think
He did.
I think he had the tendency because of his arm talent to just like back up and throw off his back heel because
Yeah.
he could.
Yeah.
I saw him really like back up, pull in the D lineman, and then step up and make a really nice shot.
I agree. I think coming off a Super Bowl win, he didn't have any, I'm just going to rest on my laurels after the Super Bowl. I think he got to work. I think his fundamentals look great.
Yeah.
And I think he used his legs very effectively when
Yeah.
he needed to. He was the Chiefs leading rusher by double. He doubly rushed the next leading rusher for the Chiefs. He had like 45 yards on 6 carries.
I mean, how good do you
He
have
was
to be
really good. The ankle was not a problem at all for sure.
to be comfortable enough to go for it on a 4th and 25? Granted, it was the game, but that should have been converted.
No other team in the NFL is going for it on 4th and 25.
He looks really comfortable
Nobody
out
else.
there. I think it's just. I think another MVP's coming. Here's where I think we're going to have some disagreements with. Offensive player of the year. Just give me yours.
This player was a little underutilized in his offense last year, but this year he has stepped into the lead role with a free agent departure. He plays for the Big D, and his name is Tony Pollard.
Oh my God.
I think Tony Pollard
You're
this year
a clown.
is going to be an all-purpose,
You're a clown.
do-it-all lead back for the division-winning Dallas Cowboys. He's going to catch 50 to 60 balls this year from Dak Prescott. He's going to get the rock at least 200 times on the ground, and he's going to have a 2019 Christian McCaffrey-esque season. I think he's going to go for 1,200 to 1,400 yards on the ground and 800 yards through the air. He's going to rack up touchdowns. I don't think Deuce Vaughn is all that. I don't think the Cowboys running back room is all that. He broke his leg, but he's fully healthy. He's been fully healthy for months. He's an unbelievably athletic and talented player. I mean, every time the ball was in his hands last year, he just looked amazing. His yards after catch, great. His breaking tackles, great. His agility, his speed, his explosiveness, great. They might run to the ground this year, but by the end of the year, he will have the Offensive Player of the Year award.
Coming from a Cowboys fan, folks, this is what we call delusional. Because Tony Pollard's not winning the Offensive Player of the Year. But
He totally could, and you know it.
For my sake, because he's on my fantasy football team, I hope so.
Yeah. Tony Pollard, let's go.
All right.
Who's your Offensive Player of the Year? Mr. Big Shot?
So, my Offensive Player of the Year is going to go to another receiver, not named Justin Jefferson.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget his pace last year and how good he was before Tua Tagovailoa went down. And I'm giving it to Tyreek Hill. He was well above Calvin Johnson's pace to break the single-season receiving yards record. Granted, there is another game that you get in there. But he was on pace to break it within the 16 games. And so I think
He was.
I think that it's a matter of time that it's going to happen. And I think that you got Tua healthy, you got a full 2 camps in you to really understand this Dolphins offense.
Yeah.
Tua's going to understand it a lot better too with Mike McDaniel.
Yep.
Get another year learning.
Tua proved last year that he can throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And that's what some people said he couldn't do.
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect chance for it all to click together. You got Tyreek, you got Jalen, you got Raheem Mostert in the backfield. You got 3 receiving threats right there.
They have a lot of really fast players and a
lot of speed,
gross weapons.
and I think everything's just going to free up down the seams. His yard after catch I think is the best in the league.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to break.
He's got the afterburners.
I think he's going to break Calvin Johnson's single season record, which is unfortunate because of the other game that they have to break it for. But because of that, he's going to lead the league in receiving yards. He's probably going to lead it in touchdowns because of that too. And I think when you have a historic season like that, people have to give the award to you, which is why I'm going to give it to Tyreek.
I agree. He could definitely win the award. I think it'd be really fun to see him win the award because he's an electric player to watch.
Yeah.
And I wish the best for Tua. I want him to stay healthy this whole year.
Me
If
too.
Tua stays healthy this whole year,
Yeah.
like you said, Tyreek is going to go crazy. He still finished with over 1,600 receiving yards last year,
Yeah.
which is an exorbitant figure. I mean, that's almost 100 yards per game.
Yeah.
And he had, random ass guys throwing the ball to him late in the season.
Skylar
So, Skylar Thompson, who, by the way, almost beat the Bills in the playoffs, though.
He did.
Skylar Thompson played his butt off.
That's because the Bills are frauds.
They are. The only thing I think that would stop him from winning Offensive Player of the Year is he's not a big red zone receiving threat. He's more of an open,
Yeah.
take the top off the defense, open field guy. And even last year, I think he only had 8 touchdowns. I don't think he'll score enough receiving touchdowns to be worthy of that award compared to a guy who's Justin Jefferson, who's a little bit better route runner in the red zone.
You think you got to have 10 plus touchdowns?
You undoubtedly have to have 10 plus. I mean, Devontae Adams had like 14 last year. Justin Jefferson had 13, 12, something. I think a receiver to win Offensive Player of the Year again, with the amount of talent that the wide receiver room in the NFL this year, he's probably got to go for at least 14 touchdowns.
I think that's good, but
And he could do it. I just don't
I
think
think
he
the
would.
yards and breaking that record, which is my prediction, is what's going to push him over the
Yeah,
top of that
and I think Tony Pollard is going to be used so often in so many ways to score enough touchdowns to be the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Tony Pollard.
He's
All
going to
right,
do it.
all right. Defensive Player of the Year. Who you got?
This one is another Dallas Cowboy.
Okay.
You know who it is. His name is Micah. He's the line, Micah Parsons. And listen, this isn't a hot take. This is Micah Parsons. He has the will to win more than almost anybody in the NFL right now. I mean, this guy has worked his butt off all offseason. He's been doing some crazy stuff like boxing, all this crazy extra training on top of Cowboys camp, Cowboys, all the organized team activities he's been able to participate in. He saw Nick Bosa get paid. He was on the air, yesterday, the day before, Bosa got paid, saying, I'm chasing him, not in terms of money, but in terms of greatness. He acknowledged Bosa was better. And guys that are that good want to be the best at what they do. And I love Micah Parsons' mentality in that way. He tailed off at the end of the season, and I don't think it's going to happen this year. He knows the Cowboys have to play great down the stretch, be hot going in the playoffs, and he knows that he has to save his best for the playoffs, and the Cowboys are ever going to break through their ceiling.
Yep. My defensive player of the year, I couldn't agree more, Goose. I got Micah Parsons winning it.
So you agree on 2 out of 3?
2 out of 3. Didn't
Heck
think that was
yeah.
going to happen.
Heck yeah.
But I do have Micah Parsons as well. And for all the reasons you just listed, but I think the one that is going to be really good for him is the Cowboys, I think, are going to have the best defense in the NFL.
That's just music to my ears.
I really do think they're going to have the best defense in the NFL. Dan Quinn is still a defensive coordinator.
He's a really, really good defensive coordinator.
He coached the Legion of Boom, and I think that he's finally got another corner in Stephon Gilmore. So you got 2 great corners.
Yeah.
You've got 2 great safeties.
By the way, I saw this today. Des Bryant ranked his top 5 corners in the NFL right now. And his 1 2 are Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore, which is just wild. I just wanted to point that out as the corners.
I don't know if
He might be a little
I
biased.
think he might be a little Cowboy biased.
Probably. Keep going. Sorry.
But no, you're good. They have 2 great corners, and they've got 2 great safeties. I think there's going to be a lot of coverage sacks. Micah can get to the quarterback any way he wants.
You're right.
to.
The cover sacks
And
could increase this year.
And he's going to be on the edge as well. So I think they're moving him full time to edge.
I think they are too, and I don't even know where I stand on this because he's a top 3 edge rusher in the game.
Yeah.
So winding him up at edge every time when he only rushed from the edge 65% of his snaps last year could be a good thing. He'll get all more sacks.
Could be a bad thing.
He'll probably be leading sacks. He lines with an edge rusher
That's what I'm
every
saying.
down. But also, his biggest attribute is that he's so versatile and he can cover receivers and tight ends. He can cover running backs. He can rush the passer. He can line up in the middle. He can do anything you want. I like seeing him do everything. But, I mean, if we line up an edge rusher, like you said, every snap, and he goes for
I think he's
19,
gonna be
20 sacks this year, I'm not going to complain.
I think he should.
I'm not gonna
I think
complain.
they're going to put him at edge more this year because of the help they've got in the secondary.
Yeah.
And they're going to, I think they're going to work their nickel package a lot more with Bland.
Deron Bland. Rookie
Bland.
5th rounder last year
Deron
with
Bland.
like 5 picks. I love Deron Bland.
Deron Bland, he's going to be a difference maker. They don't have
He's
to throw him on
so
the corner anymore.
good.
They can throw him in that nickel coverage. They're gonna
Deron
have great
Bland
coverage.
is so good.
Micah Parsons is going to come hot off the edge, and he's going to have a monster year. So I think he's going to be defensive player of the year for that reason.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. Although I don't care about him winning defensive player of the year if we don't make it to the NFC Championship game. So.
And even though the Cowboys are going to have the best defense, they're still going to be first-round exits.
You don't even think we're winning a wild card game? We won a wild card game last year. Like we smashed Tampa 35-14.
Because you guys are coming up to Seattle.
If we see y'all in the playoffs, you better run.
Hey, I'm ready for anybody. All right, well, moving on, Goose. We're going to go back to...
Now we ain't even making the playoffs. I just want you to know that.
We're not... The Seahawks aren't making the playoffs?
I can definitely see where the Seahawks don't make the playoffs.
Good night, everybody.
CBS Sports says the Seahawks going 8-9, not making the playoffs.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Just
I
saying.
don't agree with that one bit.
Just saying.
All right. This is a segment for our head coach, Chris Lindauer, out there. We're going to talk about the Denver
Hey
Broncos.
Scott, Lenny, please be nice to us tomorrow.
Yes, it's Saturday morning practice. We don't want a Cam special. Give us some sprint.
Cam will be there signing the Cam.
Okay, that's
He's
great
cool
news.
with that.
That's great news. Well, this is a segment on the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson. Now, do you think they should keep Russ cooking in the kitchen?
I think no. No, I don't. No, I don't. I think Russell Wilson. I don't trust their offensive line still at all. And they played out of 3 wide receiver sets all the time with Nathaniel Hackett last year. He tried to do with Russell Wilson what he did with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and he tried to have him line up in the shotgun, 3 wide receiver, 4 wide receiver sets with limited protection, and just huck it all the time. And you know better than anybody, Russell Wilson can huck the football.
Take it.
However, he didn't have the time. His footwork got sloppy. He tried to force things, and he tried to play hero Carson Wentz ball. It obviously didn't work. And just because Sean Payton's in there, they still have the same personnel. I don't think that letting Russ throw the ball 45 times a game out of the shotgun with a bunch of wide receivers is going to work. I don't think it's going to work for them this year.
You're wrong. You're very wrong, and I would know better than anyone because he gave me so many good years. Gave me so many good years in Seattle.
The Super Bowl championship.
I can't hate on this man. And you know what? I think we're
Bro,
going to
I'm not hating on him.
No, I know. But I think we're going to see a whole lot of this, Russ. A whole lot of Russ in Seattle with some deep balls that are just perfectly placed.
Oh, man.
A whole lot of touchdowns.
I know you get warm feelings in your tummy watching these highlights.
Oh, yeah, I do, man. These are good times. We're going to see a whole...
That was a lucky completion.
Yeah, it was. What a great play. But we're going to see a whole lot more of this, Russ. The problem was Nathaniel Hackett. That's
How so?
the problem.
I know how so. Why don't you
It's a
explain it?
scheme issue in Denver. I don't think it's a Russ issue. If you know Russ, he's not the biggest guy. He can't see over his line all that well, and I think you could see a lot of vision problems with him last year. He just was missing a whole lot of reads because he had too much to work with. He had 4 wide receivers, 4 reads that he had to go through. I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's not what he was used to in Seattle. In Seattle, they're going to have a power set. They're rarely ever going 5 wide receivers wide, 4 wide receivers wide. They're going 2 receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK, and they're having 2 tight end sets. You're going to have a lot more with that in Sean Payton. He understands that's what you need. He had a quarterback with Drew Brees around the same height. Russ is accurate, plenty accurate, especially on the deep ball more so than Drew Brees.
He's got an arm just like Drew Brees had in like the late 2000s.
Yes, and I think he's going to bring in that same type of scheme with Russ. I think he's going to make him start out the game with some short reads and then look for that long ball, a lot more play action, instead of stepping back in the pocket on the shotgun because that is not what Russ does.
He's not a pocket passer.
No, he's not.
He's not a stand back there and wait like Tom Brady and throw the ball.
He's not. You need to roll Russ out, get him outside the pocket, and make him make a decision because that's his best trait is making decisions. Like when he gets out of the pocket like that, I can throw it to Doug Baldwin, or am I going to make a move and get to the end zone? And
Yep.
that's what I think is going to happen.
Do you still trust Russ's legs to be a true weapon in the offense?
I do. I think if you asked me last year, I would have said no. The dude looked really bad in the pocket. He looked like he lost a whole lot of speed. But I follow him. I keep up with him a lot. Russ has lost nearly 20 pounds in the offseason.
Wow.
And lightened up.
You know, I was starting to think as a Denver Bronco, his face was looking a little more full. I could kind of tell.
Yeah, he bulked up a whole lot to bulk up on taking those hits. And I think he realized that he's going to take those hits no matter what. And the more important thing is to have the mobility to get out of there to avoid those hits for him.
To be quick, okay. I watched an article, or I read an article the other day on ESPN about a few quarterbacks who declined last year, and if they'll bounce back this year. One of them was Russell Wilson. They projected that he would only throw 24 passing touchdowns this year. That's, I mean, if he plays all 17 games, which we'll say he plays 16, that's a touchdown and a half per game. I do think he goes over that. I
think he goes 30 plus, and I think the Denver Broncos finish second in the AFC West.
2?
The Chiefs.
You think the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West?
Yeah.
I have my doubts into this week.
I think the Chargers are the Chargers, dude.
The Chargers are the Chargers. I agree.
And I just don't know if you can ever tell, but I think the Denver Broncos are going to.
I think you having more of the Chargers is kind of crazy. What do you think their final record is going to be?
My bold prediction. I think they'll probably be 9-8. I think they're going to have a winning year.
Oh, okay, I agree. I think 9-8 is the best case scenario, if I'm being honest.
And the AFC is super competitive that you don't know how those three.
I mean, their schedule's just so bad,
But
like so hard.
I'm not sure if they're going to make the playoffs, but I do think they're going to finish second in the division. So I think it's going to be a real fight to finish.
I think I can very confidently say that two. No, I can't very confidently say that, like you said with the AFC.
Yeah.
But I think 2 teams in the AFC West should make it. If both the Broncos and the Chargers don't make it, or somehow the Chiefs don't make it, if only one of those teams of those 3 makes it there, that'd be a really disappointing year for that division.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, just how competitive it is. Russ knows how to win. He knows how to get into the playoffs. He did every single year he was a Seahawk. Maybe it's time for the Broncos to get in the playoffs again.
I think they're going 8-9. I don't think they're going to get there, but we'll have to see.
Yep. All right, well, let's end it with your spreads. Goose loves these spreads as we're headed into the weekend. Remember, we're not betting men, but Goose Let's take a look at these spreads and see what maybe you guys can make a profit on. So, Goose, take it away. What do you think?
I was sitting in Stat Methods this morning getting real bored. My teacher was taking notes. And I
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was locked in.
I was writing down the notes while I was looking at the spreads. So I was looking through the college football lineup for this weekend, and I got 6 actually spreads. I think
Six
are really
spreads.
good. I got 6 spreads.
6 spreads.
I'm going to start with the Fighting Irish. I love us minus 7.5 at NC State.
Really?
12 o'clock. Yeah, I mean NC State week 1. The only data we have on them this year, they beat UConn 24-14. I think even if we allow NC State to score 24 points, we'll cover 7.5. I think we go over 40 this
40
game.
again.
Sam Hartman has yet to play more than a single half of football in one of our games. We scored 42 and 56 points.
Yeah.
My prediction for this game is 42-17, and I mean, obviously they usually covers minus 7.5. I think if the Irish defense shows up, which I believe it will, and Hartman shows up, I think if one of those two things show up, we'll easily cover 7.5. That's barely over a touchdown. We're going to thrash NC State.
Boom. Spread number 1. What's spread number 2, Goose?
Number 2, number 12 Utah at Baylor, 7.5 point favorites as well. So Baylor,
Take it, Utah.
I'm taking Utah minus 7.5 Baylor. Baylor lost to Texas State last week.
True.
That's embarrassing. And you might say, oh, coach got them to run a lot this week in practice. They're fired up. They know they're going to come out and play better. Well, guess what? If you lose to Texas State, you're just not a good football team. All right? I've seen a lot of really bad Baylor teams in my time. This is another one. Utah played their butts off last week with their backup quarterback. Even if Cam Rising isn't back this week from his torn ACL, which he might be, no matter what, I mean, they covered 7.5 against Florida. They will cover 7.5 against Baylor this week in Waco, Texas.
Fighting Irish, Utah. Give me spread number 3.
Number 3, number 15, K-State. The Wildcats, minus 16.5 at Troy. This is pretty self-explanatory. Troy's not a football powerhouse. They were fairly unimpressive last week. They did win, but they were fairly unimpressive in that win. K-State won 45-0.
Yeah.
I think K-State picks up another blowout win here at home versus Troy. Very tough for an underdog, small school team to come into a place like K-State and win against a very quality, number 15 ranked Big 12 team. They'll cover 16.5 points.
ND, Utah, K-State. Give me spread number 4.
Number 4, team come off a really, really bad loss last week. Virginia, minus 6.5 at home versus James Madison University.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Listen, Virginia scored like 14 points against Tennessee last week. They got trucked, 49-14, I believe. And they're still Virginia. Virginia has some good football teams. And there's just no way they're going to start out 0-2. They'll cover a touchdown versus James Madison. Again at home, very tough. First of all, James Madison to go to Virginia and win a game. I think they'll win by touchdown, and they will be fired up after the loss last week. They'll bounce that game. I like that spread.
Notre Dame, Utah, K-State, Virginia.
Yep.
Give me spread number 5.
Number 5, ranked matchup of the week. The only other ranked matchup besides Bama and Texas. This one is number 24 Tulane, the Green Wave, plus
That's
7
right. That's
at
right.
home versus number 20 Ole Miss.
That's right.
Jackson Dart, love the kid. 5 touchdowns for Ole Miss last week in the air. He is a great football player. He looks really good. But you don't forget, Tulane beat USC in the Cotton Bowl last year.
They really did.
Tulane is real. That's a good football team. I think the number 24 in front of their name is just a number. I think they're much better than 24th in the country. They are really, really solid. They had a blowout win last week. And I think plus 7 at home versus Ole Miss, I love that. I think they have a great chance to win that game. And if they lose, it'll be very, very close.
All right, give us your last spread. Goose.
Last one, I love number 13 Oregon, minus 6 in Lubbock, Texas, playing the Red Raiders. The Red Raiders,
Yeah.
2 OT loss versus Wyoming.
I see
Wore
it.
themselves out a little bit versus Wyoming.
I see it, yeah.
Josh Allen's alma mater. Number 13 Oregon, on the other hand, put up 81 points. That's an 8 in front of it. That's a basketball score, 81. 81 points versus Portland State. Didn't play their starters past the halftime. I mean,
As they should.
listen, Bo Nix, used to be Bo Picks. Bo Nix is rested. Texas Tech is coming off of a big 2 OT throw that they lost. And I think Bo Nix is going to go in there, throw for 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, and just tear out the Red Raiders at their home stadium in Lubbock. So I love Oregon minus 6 there.
All right. There's your spreads. If you want that parlay, if you're a betting man, take Goose's spreads. But that's all we got for the Right or Wrong show tonight. Have a great weekend. Enjoy that football, and we'll be back to talk football next week.
Be safe. Have a great time. See y'all, everybody.